Hi everyone, morning. My name is Dhanya Rajeswaran, and a little bit more about me than what I am at Accenture. I've been in the industry for about 18 plus years now, nearly 19, right through an out-and-out HR person, and very, very closely associated with the concept of meritocracy and inclusion right through my career. So, when Zino asked me to speak about personal brand and redefining your personal brand, I was like, really me? and of course, I did a lot of reading, but it also allowed me to reflect on what I have had a chance to learn from people that I believe have been inspirational, people that I believe have been memorable, both as individuals, but also as leaders leading an organization. So what I'm about to share with you is my reflection on some of this, yeah? Okay. There you go. When you think about the word being memorable, the first thing that stands out for an individual is how unique they are, right? And when you think uniqueness, it's that special characteristic that we as individuals have, which is a function of the differences that we represent. It's a function of the experiences that we've come with, and how strongly we are able to embrace that, right? More often than not, we are trained to conform. We're trained to fit in. And those who fit in usually never stand out, right? So when you think about the word uniqueness and its association with brand, that's the one thing that clearly stands out. When you, one of my inspirational personalities that I look up to is Oprah Winfrey. The point in time that she entered the media, in the US, being the black woman that she is, and a woman at that, right? Double minority status. But still, the way she was able to just embrace her full self and know that she's having something very, very special, know that she's able to create that magic. And I think that made her who she is. And, if you even pause and think about all the people that you think are unique, you will know that, that's the one thing. When you think of yourself as a leader, right, and not just as an individual, the leaders that are unique are the people who stand for something, who represent something. These are leaders who are not the ones who are typically fitting into the rigmarole of corporate life. These are leaders who take the time out. These are the leaders who make you feel special. These are the leaders who actually care for you. There's some things that's very, very unique about them. And I think when you think about your personal brand, that's to me the very first thing that you look at. Authenticity. Thinking about inclusion and the concept of inclusion and the concept of authenticity, right? We would be familiar with this. How do we enable us to bring our whole selves to work? Are we faking it, or are we being us, the most authentic part of us, right? We've heard fascinating stuff from Sukanya and my dear friend Seema on the whole concept of inclusion and diversity and how it manifests itself and how we are able to value that. When you think about authenticity, it is the ability to be your whole self and be dependable. How do you manifest your dependability? And more often than not, when we struggle to hide a part of ourselves, right? There are many times we are trying to fake it. There are the parts of me that I want to hide, the parts of my experiences that I want to hide, the parts of my sexual orientation that I want to hide. And hide not because I want to hide, but hide because I'm forced to hide. Hide because I'm not accepted. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be valued the same way that I will be if I didn't hide parts of those. And the whole drain on my productivity, the whole drain on my energy, and therefore the resulting impact on who I am and how I represent myself and what is the value I'm able to add to you as an organization, right? Very well-intentioned leaders sometimes ask me the question, why does somebody's sexual orientation matter at work? It shouldn't, right? No matter how well-intentioned that sounds, that statement, there's something so wrong with it. If I'm able to say I went out with my husband over the weekend to a movie, why can my colleague not be able to say I went out with my partner for a movie? Why can it not be? And if you think about that, with the amount of trust you generate in your interactions, the authenticity part of it, right? What ends up happening is if I'm trying to hide that I went with my partner, I'm going to make up a lie. I'm going to make up a lie and say, no, I went with a friend, right? I'm going to make up a lie saying, oh, no, I did nothing. And when that lie gets exposed in some other form, because I'm going out with the same friend, people see me going home with the same friend, suddenly I'm no longer authentic. I'm no longer trustworthy. And the moment trust starts breaking down, relationships break down, isolation begins to happen. And when isolation begins to happen, we are losing out. We are losing out on the human potential, right? And therefore, as individuals, what is the role we play in being authentic and allowing everybody else to be authentic? That's a powerful brand to be. If you know that you're the kind of leader that I can be anybody with, and you will just value me for the value I bring, and you will not judge me, imagine how special you will seem to me. Yeah, that's the power of authenticity. Values. We hear so much about values, right? I don't think this is a group that needs a class on values. The digital world that we are in, everything is being reset. Existential questions are being asked about what is going to happen to the human race, right? We are talking about robots being designed to help children grow up, robots being designed to do everything that human beings can typically do, right? The one thing that will differentiate who we are as a race is the values that we stand for. And if you think about that in context of today, when robots haven't taken over our worlds, in today's context, we see a dog-eat-dog world. We see people politicking ridiculously at work. To what end and to what joy? Nobody has an answer, right? Everybody is so fearful that there are so little opportunities that it is important for me to just look after myself. Why? Values. Think of yourself as a person who either stands for respect, who stands for empathy, who stands for caring, versus a person who stands for productivity, achievement, task orientation, get the damn thing done, right? I'm not saying replace both. I'm saying make sure that your humanness and your values represent the brand that you are. Are you a leader who's standing out as special because you have empathy? You know, we heard Sukanya speak about the lack of empathy being the most inexcusable excuse when it comes to why we're not inclusive, right? Are we empathetic? Is that part of our core values? And again, your personal brand, there are many things that research will tell you about how you build your brand, right? A brand is about your vision, the promise that you stand for, the proof points that you generate, the consistency with which you're able to deploy. But in all of that, if the values part of it is not in place, then there is no way that we will be able to be special and memorable, right? Expertise, relevance, Seema spoke about it. While authenticity, your uniqueness, your values, they are your foundations. What happens with the word expertise is your relevance comes in. How on top of the game that you are with your skills, your abilities, your knowledge, because that gives you that well-rounded professional personality. Because then you are a very credible leader. And a credible leader who's able to be seen as not just a leader with a heart, but a leader with a head as well, right? And that's the leader the world respects. So as much as we are trying to make sure that we are all heart, what I'm asking is leaders do stand out for their head as well. Unfortunately, today we see many examples of leaders with head and less of heart. But I think the opportunity that is there for us is how do we marry both and be seen as a leader with both. Yeah? And when you think about underrepresented groups, right? When you think about women, when you think about people with disabilities, people with experiences that don't allow them the same equal access to the workplace, and you think about the word expertise, right? The unfortunate reality is this is the group that is the most vulnerable to this, right? It is the group that will feel the first flash of impact when it comes to redeployment, when it comes to whatever, unfortunately, because they've had experiences in their journey which hasn't allowed them to fill in the holes that would have been so natural and easy for somebody who was, coming with all the privilege in the world. And therefore, the question to us as leaders is, when we think about expertise and when we think about how are we helping our teams and our people come up the curve, are we doing enough to look at the vulnerable populations and helping them stay relevant in the future? Are we doing something which provides them that equal access? Are we able to give them that lift up that they never had in their lives till now, right? Are we doing that? And that's the ask. The leaders who are able to look at their business strategy and say, okay, here's how my business is going to radically change, and here's the change transformation I'm looking for. And then the leader with the heart says, who's going to be impacted by this the most? Am I able to see it ahead of the curve? Am I able to take actions that will help them not get impacted? It makes you special. When you think of all of this, right, I spoke to you about becoming the professional, credible leader that you are with your head and a heart. It's of absolutely no value if you don't use your voice. You need to find your voice. And finding your voice means that you have the courage to speak up. You have the ability to speak up when you need to speak up, right? Your values are in the right place. You're authentic. You're enabling authenticity in the workplace. You're making sure that uniqueness is celebrated. But if you're not doing enough to speak up, we have a problem. And brands get built around this. I have a very special friend sitting in the room, Madhu. She's somebody who I absolutely admire when it comes to finding your voice. If any of you have a chance, please look her up on the social media. You'll find that she writes these beautiful short stories. Beautiful short stories. It's a classic example of how somebody who's so unique in her perspective is able to bring out those stories with the authenticity that is required, with the courage to have the voice to articulate the same. It's amazing. It's amazing. I was very intentional in not picking a very lofty, out of this room example, but I'm just privileged she's sitting here. And you will see speakers through the day who will come and these are people who've had courage to be just comfortable in their own skin and not stop there. These are people who've actually made the effort to make life better for others. And that, my dear friends, is my submission to you. Find your voice. Find your voice. It's critical. So as I sum up, to me, this is what represents your brand. Your uniqueness and your ability to value the uniqueness in everybody else. Your authenticity, so that you're not faking it and you're not forcing anybody to fake it. Your expertise, because you need to be ahead of the curve. You need to be ahead in your game. And use that expertise to help those who are less privileged than you. And values, because that's your moral compass. That's what guides you. That's what defines you, right? And in all of this, you bring your whole self to bear with your voice. And when you do that, trust me, you will be so powerful, that you will be a change maker in this world. Thank you very much.